My friends, it's Black History Month for February. I'm just gonna give a shout out to one of the great Saturday morning cartoons of yesteryear. And no, it's not even this guy. Not even my absolute favorite in animation. Enjoy.
Hey, hey, hey! It's Saturday!
Yes, sir! Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Saturday morning staple from the early 70s through the late 70s. Oh, okay, excuse me. Early 70s through, I think, the early to mid 80, I think. Early to mid 1980 was about the time the new adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids ran out of episodes before moving to syndication. Well, we can't talk about Black History Month and Black History in animation without Fat Albert Johnson and his good buddies, the Cosby Kids. Yeah. And there could not have been a Fat Albert without the genius that was Dr. William H. Cosby Jr. Bill Cosby. Fat Albert's voice and the voice of several other characters. The interfiller segment and the man who, with the help of the late Lou Scheimer and the help of Arthur Nadell and so many other people at Filmation, brought Fat Albert to life. Fat Albert debuted September 9th of 1972, making it a very early series focused predominantly on black inner city youth and their adventures together. Couple of trigger warnings for you before we continue much further. First of all, I am well aware, as are a lot of people right now, of a darker side to Bill Cosby as a person. I am here to distinguish between Bill Cosby as a person and Fat Albert as a cartoon character and the lessons learned therein. Secondly, look at this face for a second. I was not Fat Albert's target demographic. So when I explore some fan favorite episodes throughout the seasons, and I talk about the cultural impact that Fat Albert could have had on that Fat Albert had on Saturday mornings, I just want you to understand what place this is coming from. We'll continue in a moment. Not just for extra cultural significance, Fat Albert, the animated series, started September 9th of 1972. Fat Albert as an idea came from Bill Cosby's memories of childhood growing up in North Philly. And the character himself was originally part of Bill Cosby's comedy act. I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 seasons of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, 1 season of the New Adventures of 1 season of the new Fat Albert show, and the syndicated season of The Adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. I'm going to try to pick 1 episode per season that really stood out to me. It's going to be tough when I reach the syndicated season and it was 50 episodes long, let alone rerunning the original run in syndication. But I'm going to try. Season 1 standout episode, absolutely creativity. The episode that introduced the idea of the Junkyard Band. As the seasons wore on and the Junkyard Band segments were replaced by the Brown Hornet, or even worse, Legal Eagle, I really missed the Junkyard Band and the musical numbers that capped off each episode. I never had much love for the Brown Hornet, and even less so for Legal Eagle. Episode 4 of Season 1, premiering September 30th of 1972, introduced where the idea for the Junkyard Band came from and showed them creating their instruments. It was extremely instrumental for the first several seasons of Fat Albert to know where this idea for the Junkyard Band came from. Season 2. Season 2 was apparently 7 episodes long. I am slightly torn between The Bully or Mr. Big Timer. I think The Bully was a lot more impactful, a lot more memorable. I mean, we had Slappy and his little pal Fungo just hassling the Cosby Kids behind Fat Albert's back. Until it was Russell who discovered Slappy's Achilles heel, and Bill who finally staged it so Fat Albert could know exactly what type of a person Slappy was. In the case of Mr. Big Timer, there was a one-off friend of the Cosby Kids who was popular with the gang by providing them with toys, presents, treats anytime he saw them. The money that he got to entertain the kids came from an older brother who was pushing drugs. And Fat Albert was the one who had to bust him and take the gang's meal ticket off the table. For being memorable and being the one that would constantly be seen in reruns, I think the bully still takes season 2. Moving on. Season 3. I think it was Fat Albert meets Dan Cupid. It wouldn't be the first time that Fat Albert fell in love. Wait a minute. It would be the first time that Fat Albert really started noticing girls, really fell in love. It wouldn't be the last. But this one would be the most impactful. The episode debuted September 20th, 1975, and up until now, we saw the Cosby Kids as kind of looking down on women, looking down on girls. And this is even dating back to season 1's The Tomboy, until they were proven wrong about. I'm drawing a blank on her name. But anyway, this was Fat Albert meets Dan Cupid was a real turning point in how Fat Albert looked at women and looked at girls. Season 4. I think it was Reed and Wrighton and Rudy. Rudy was always the antagonist of the group. He was always the smart aleck, stuck-up rich kid, and a regular foil, and he and Russell usually verbally foiled one another. For reading, writing, and Rudy, he finally met a teacher who was willing to set him straight in class. And finally met a teacher who showed the courage to tell him to really buckle down, really get to work and do his studies, to keep up with the rest of the class. I mean, he finally met an educator who was not going to be talked down to or otherwise put in a corner by Rudy's antics in the classroom. And that meant something. The new Fat Albert show also ran for 3 seasons. Never my favorite iteration of the show. It, like I said, this is what put the Junkyard Band musical segments on the back burner and replaced them with the Brown Hornet. I'm going to try to pick just one episode out of all of these, and it's going to come from the 3rd season of the new Fat Albert show, The Double Cross. Premiered September 14th of 1981. Double Cross. This is a really hairy subject. Fat Albert and his friends, one-off friend, was it Melinda? I think it was Melinda. She met a group of new friends. A group of new friends who did not have much use for Fat Albert and his friends. Or for that matter, they didn't have much use for anyone who did not share in their mentality, their nation of origin, or their skin color. Filmation really They really took a big gamble on this episode. It was a teenage white supremacist group. It was a teenage group of supremacists who were seen not only vocally excluding Fat Albert and his friends, they could be seen vandalizing property. Up until the point where Fat Albert had to save them from their own stupidity. And it is pointed out by Cosby how big it was of Fat Albert to try to save someone's life who wanted nothing to do with him. But he then pointed out that it might have been a mistake for Albert to not wait for the proper authorities to help rescue someone. There was also a great scene in the middle of that episode where Fat Albert's old buddy Mudfoot Brown introduces him to his friend who happens to be a Jewish rabbi, which just takes home the whole message of what supremacist groups could really represent for the other cultures around them. Okay. Alright. The Adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. I am torn between Busted and Gang Wars. Since the syndicated episodes were 50 episodes long, 50 brand new episodes made for syndication between 84 and 85. I think I'll just run with it and pick two. For the episode Busted, Bill Cosby comes on before the show even starts with a warning of strong language. A warning of strong language that falls on equally deaf ears when the DVD releases muted it. The premise of the episode Busted was that another of the Cosby Kids' one-time friends steals a car, takes them on a joyride to head for the city pool. A joyride that ends, naturally, when the cops pull him over in a hot car. The police choose to scare Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids straight by taking them to prison for a little visit. In the end, it is understood that Fat Albert and his friends don't even know that it's a hot car, except for the fact that the driver did. This is the police officer's way of showing Albert and the rest of the Cosby Kids where making mistakes in judgment can lead you. And it is impactful in so many ways. Once again, that episode was Busted. It aired October 20th of 1984. If you want to look up these episodes later, I do recommend it. Lastly, Gang Wars. May 18th of 85, gang wars. Once again, standards and practices in broadcasting have changed since the 70s. In 1985, Filmation chose to show not only a gang war, it chose, with obvious cutaways to the police or to Fat Albert or to his friend Fernando, whose older brother was in one of the gangs, and leaving Fernando torn between whether or not to join a gang or not. And in the end, it did show Fernando getting shot, visibly dying. That was an impactful episode for so many reasons. Anyway. Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids did change television history and animation. You can say what you want about Bill Cosby today. At this point, all opinions are off the table about Bill Cosby. Every opinion is on the table today about Bill Cosby. He did change television history by going to Lou Scheimer, the late Lou Scheimer, and Norm Prescott, and the rest of the crew at Filmation, to take a huge gamble at putting Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids on the air. And Saturday mornings were changed forever. This isn't the last time I will be visiting animation for Black History Month, and I wish you and yours a happy one and an educational one. But before we're done here, the holiday collection. Somewhere in between a multitude of seasons and reiterations of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, they made 3 separate holiday specials. And the one that has always stood out to me, including from my youth, starting in my youth, was the Christmas special. The Halloween special has its own charm to it, and the Fat Albert Easter special finally shows a very different, very caring side of Rudy. It's very heartwarming. But if I were to choose one, it was the Christmas special that I had been watching since I was little. There we go. Thanks again for your time, friends. Happy Black History Month. May it be an educational one for you. A lot of what I thought I needed to know, I learned from watching 80s cartoons. If you feel that there's more about me that you'd like to know, hey, feel free to click the subscribe button. It's right there. I thank you for your time. Hope to see you again soon.